We have seen the contradiction during Bahmani period, that is Dakhani versus Afaki. Come to Asaf Zahi period, post 1857. Post 1857, there is a huge change in this area. What is happening? In 1857, in many of the principalities, many of the princely states who were fighting against British, the soldiers lost their jobs, they were worsted, they were rebels, so they will not be in the British army post 1857. So in this process, many Muslim non-Mulki soldiers came in from north. Those areas like Audh, in English we write OUDH or AVADH, Awadh. Awadh means Lucknow, Bengal, Delhi, Murshidabad, etc. All these areas, the rebels who were in the armies of the natives, armies of the native princes, who rebelled against British, even in British period. So all these people were pouring into Hyderabad state, coming into Hyderabad state because you have employment here. Why they are coming into Hyderabad state? Because those Muslim non-Mulkis, because this is ruled by a Muslim ruler and the language is also Persian official language. Persian official language helped lot of non-Mulkis to some time, because till that time Persian is also one of the important language. So a ruler, Muslim ruler, and not contradicting lot of things of the princely states. Though he supported British in 1857, he is not contradicting with many states. So automatically the soldiers are coming into this period. And come to the period that is Salarjung 1. In Salarjung 1 period, you have the agenda of implementing the reforms. So for implementing the reforms from north, Bengal, Bombay, Madras, all these are provinces. Bombay, Bengal, Madras, these three were the centers of British education. British is trying to implement all the reforms and they were already entrenched into this soil through their forts administration. So you have trained personalities, trained persons, trained people with some experience in British, and they were also being taken into Salarjung's period, Salarjung's regime, because he was very close to British. He never hesitated to opt for the services of the non-Mulkis to implement his reforms agenda. Thus, you have a lot of Kayasthas and Khatris also coming into Hyderabad state. Kayastha, you know who is a Kayastha? For example, you take that surname like Srivastav, Nigam, Mathur, all these are Kayastha subcastes. So Kayasthas were coming into Hyderabad, and these people were coming into administration of Hyderabad state. And Khatris, this is another North Indian subcaste group which is coming. Today we have Dharmavant College in Old City. That Dharmavant College was started by the Khatri group, Khatri caste group, Khatris. This is a North Indian caste. So apart from this, we have another group of people who are bringing the people from outside into Hyderabad state. That is Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, the founder of Aligarh Muslim University, who started Aligarh Muslim University, we call it in the latter period, but it was known as Madrasatul Uloom in Aligarh, and he was also the advisor of Salarjung. When Salarjung is having such a great advisor, very interesting, Salarjung and Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, both have one thing in common. Both are from the background of feudalism, but they are for the reforms, they are for the change. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan is bringing the change in Muslim society through education. That is why Mohammedan Anglo-Indian schools he is starting. He is starting Aligarh Muslim University to help Muslims to get educated in a modern way. The same person is the advisor of Salarjung. So definitely Salarjung is asking him to associate with the reforms, and he is also bringing many civil servants into Hyderabad state. So one section is from this one. Then Aminuddin Khan, another aide of Salarjung, another advisor of Salarjung, he also brought in many non-Mulkis into Hyderabad. So what is happening in this entire period? Reforms is the major agenda. Whoever is fit to implement reforms will come into Hyderabad state. This is the what you call brewing contradiction in Hyderabad society. They are being called in for services, but they are not completely given a free hand. Salarjung was sharp enough to curtail some of the aspects about non-Mulkis. He restricted the interaction with the Mulkis, especially the nobles and jagirdars and all those things. Because when the non-Mulkis officials who are appointed in the state are interacting with such officials, and definitely in that process, non-Mulkis are getting strengthened and taking the advantage of backwardness of Mulki Jamindars, they were ordering them. So all these things Salarjung noticed, and they were curtailed of interaction. They can't meet the nobles easily. They were looked as purely some employees. Non-Mulkis were not given the jagirs or titles. If you give jagirs and titles, what will happen? They will grow strong. So it was not done. Political affairs in the Diwani were allocated to Mulkis. Then appointed a Tamil Vakil in his court to represent him in British. Like this, he was taking lot of changes so that non-Mulkis will not get undue advantage of replacing Mulkis. And he opposed one thing for sure. Non-Mulkis were forcing him to make Urdu as the official language, and he was not ready to do it. He was reluctant to it, even opposing to do it vehemently. Why? Because when North Indian Muslims were proposing to change Urdu, it is for the disadvantage of locals. Till then, advantages were being taught in Persian, and North Indian Urdus were taught in Urdu. That will become an advantage for them. That is why he was opposing Urdu till his last breath. In 1868, in the last days of Afzal-ud-Dawla, a farman was issued to appoint only Mulkis in all the departments. Because by 1868 itself, you can see this was made by Salarjung. By this time, non-Mulkis are occupying lot of plum posts. They were dominating the scenario. So that is why Salarjung took a strict attitude, measure against them. He tried to use the services of non-Mulkis. What for? To train the locals and send them back or grow the number of Mulkis in administration. But it was not done to a larger extent. That was the tragedy. Reforms in education was also aimed at making the successful, making the confident civil servants for Hyderabad state, educating and orienting them. That was the aim of educational institutions. So that was the attitude of Salarjung about the reforms and Mulkis. Now we are talking about Mir Mahbub Ali Khan's regime, that is Mulki issue. Salarjung too was the Diwan of Mir Mahbub Ali Khan, son of Salarjung I. Urdu was replaced by Persian, and by this time the importance of non-Mulkis grew to a large extent. 1885 civil servants list, Mulkis were 246, non-Mulkis 230, almost equal. And who were the non-Mulkis? Hindustanis. Hindustani means North Indians, Madras people, Bombay, Europe and some other countries. These were the civil servants of this period. So these civil servants were completely dominating the scenario. If you take the percentage of share in their salaries also, you can see in the PowerPoint, like 58% was grabbed by non-Mulkis and 42% for Mulkis. One Karen Leonard has worked a lot on this Mulki issue and Hyderabad politics of this period. In that in detail she is explaining things, what is happening with Hyderabad state. In all the departments, non-Mulkis were dominant. And 1893, come 1893, 𝗂𝗽𝗓 Nizam, he has pointed out the problems in the present system, and he has brought a new scheme of his reforms. So remember this date, 1893, 𝗂𝗽𝗓 Nizam. This is very important, as this is the stamp of Mir Mahbub Ali Khan in his reforms. He was opposing Salarjung too, but in the beginning year, Salarjung too could do whatever he wanted. Within a short time, he fell out of favor. 1886-94, non-Mulki's percentage rose from 48 to 66. You can see the data. Then papers like Hyderabad Record, the Muhammadin, Ilahi Baksh, all these things are reporting on Mulki news. Mulkis, what they are thinking, what non-Mulkis are thinking. Among these papers, this 𝗖𝗍𝗍 was the paper which is in support of non-Mulkis. And they were belittling the Mulki, saying that for a better administration, where can you find an efficient Mulki in Hyderabad? It means they are very clear that efficient Mulkis are not there in Hyderabad, they have to be brought in from outside. The same thing Andhras repeated in the latter phase. Telangana people were not capable, so they are coming in. This is the propaganda they were doing. So this is important about Mir Mahbub Ali Khan periods data. And Rai Balmukund, because of the educational institutions changing or becoming bigger ones, Rai Balmukund was the first Mulki graduate in 1885. He did his studies from Madras and he became an officer in Nizam's court. At this point of time, the contradiction was between two types. The contradiction is of two types. One is Mulki Muslims versus non-Mulki Muslims. Mulki Muslims, non-Mulki, it is among the Muslims itself. Second thing is Hindus versus Muslims. Mulki Muslims are not liking non-Mulki Muslims grabbing the lion's share in jobs. If you take the whole population according to religion, most of the jobs are taken by Muslims and not Hindus. So automatically Hindus have the grouse over the Muslims. And in this background, in this period, you can see there were a lot of things going on in Mulki, as I have talked about the paper reportings. And in 1901, Maharaja Kishan Parshad, he was the descendant of Todarmal. Todarmal was the revenue minister in Akbar's ministry. So Todarmal's descendant, Maharaja Kishan Parshad, again, he is not a local. He is from outside, but settled long back. By the time of Mir Mahbub Ali Khan period, he is a local. So Mir Mahbub Ali Khan's period, Maharaja Kishan Parshad was appointed as Diwan in 1901. And he also tried to implement Mulki rules to some extent. This is about Mir Mahbub Ali Khan period. Next comes the last Nizam, that is Nizam 7th, that is Mir Osman Ali Khan Siddiqui. Mir Osman Ali Khan's Farman of 1919, as the topic states, there are some rules and regulations. As I have talked about what do you mean by Mulk and what do you mean by Mulki. These are known as Mulki rules. From now onwards, you get Mulki rules in a popular format. Always you will be talking about Mulki rules. Hyderabad Mulki rules formed part of the Hyderabad Civil Services regulations promulgated by Nizam's Farman of 1919. So this is for the civil services, these rules will apply. The rules are, no person will be appointed in any superior or inferior services without specific sanction of the Nizam if he is not a Mulki. You understand? No one will be appointed for bigger or smaller post, but at the same time, if anything has to be, any such thing has to be done exceptionally, then it has to be sanctioned by the Nizam himself. That is number one. If non-Mulki is coming, it has to be given by the Nizam permission. Second, a person shall be called a Mulki if by birth he is a subject of Hyderabad, or by residence he is the subject of Hyderabad, or children whose father, we are not talking mother because mothers were not employed, we are talking of Asafzahi period. So no one considered mother as an employee or working woman. So whose father completed 15 years of service in Hyderabad at the time of the birth. That is important, underline that, at the time of birth. It is not just completing 15 of years. He should be an employee at the time of his birth. Then this Mulki rules fit. And next, wife of a person who is a Mulki. For example, a person is there, he is marrying into the other area. For example, Nizam state is there, in the border you get married to someone in the side by areas. Then what will be the status of that woman? She will be a Mulki because she is your wife. This is the person. Then a permanent resident for at least 15 years and declare before the magistrate that he will not return to his native place after retirement. This is to fix that we will do our jobs and meanwhile our sons will become officials and we go to our native place. This Osman Ali Khan is curtailing. So you have to give a declaration that I am not going back to my native place. then only you will be a Mulki. So, 1919, that 𝗹𝗶 Hukumat, that is Executive Council, 𝗹𝗶 Hukumat is a word for Executive Council. It was replaced, it replaced the old Cabinet Council, and this 1919 𝗹𝗶 Hukumat is bringing in some of the reforms, some of the changes in Constitution. So, Rai Balmukund was asked to make a report on constitutional reforms on the lines of 𝗳𝗧𝗪𝗺 reforms. So, definitely you can see parallelly running things. There you have reforms, an act, 𝗳𝗧𝗪𝗺 Act. Then here in Hyderabad state also you are talking about such changes. And in this background, in 1921, Hyderabad State Reforms Association was formed. This Hyderabad State Reforms Association was an association of the people, not of nobles. This Hyderabad State Reforms Association gave representations to Nizam about some changes. And in till 1923, means first 2 years, they were talking to Nizam, they were appealing to Nizam for some changes, not bigger changes, very small changes. And in 1923, when they approached Nizam to suggest some of the alternative forms of governance, Nizam did not like it. Because he is the ruler, he has to decide what rule has to be there or not. Who are you to decide? So, in 1923, when this Hyderabad State Reforms Association went to Nizam with a report, he did not like it. Instead, he initiated the security measure or a law and order measure, you call it as, that is 53 𝗧𝗪 Nishan. Under this 𝗧𝗪 Nishan, you have to take permission for any meeting. Political, cultural, everything, you have to take permission. So, at 53 𝗧𝗪 Nishan is very important in terms of law and order, like your 144 section. You can be arrested. So, this 1923 report and met with an adverse impact of 𝗧𝗪 Nishan. And in this entire period, educational institutions grew in number and rise of educated Mulkis, especially in English and Urdu, you can see growing. And in 1918, Osmania University has its first year, it was started, the first Farman was issued, and gradually a new university is coming up, that is Osmania University. Before, our institutions were affiliated to Madras University. Now, Osmania University itself is a university on this native land. So, in this background, Usman Ali Khan issued a Farman in 1933 because 1919 Farman could not bring any change, not much change. So, agitation was done by Mulkis. And another another flashpoint was when Khan Sahib from Punjab was appointed to an important position. Then Khan Sahib's appointment to an important position and no results from 1919 Mulki rules. So what happens? People started asking or demanding for protection of rights, and in this process 1933 Farman was issued. This 1933 Farman says strict appointment of Mulkis in all the departments. This strict employment means this is like warning. So that is why this 1933 was received by the people or the leaders or the people who are who and who of Hyderabad state in a very good manner. First of all, Kotwal, Raj Bahadur Venkatram Reddy thanked the regime, that is Nizam, and other people were gathered in a big meeting to say thanks or to show gratitude to Nizam for bringing in this 1933 Farman. Who were the people who were gathering in that meeting? Like Burgul Ramakrishna Rao, Mandumla Narsinga Rao, Padmaja Naidu, daughter of Sarojin Naidu, Latif Saeed, Mir Akbar Ali Khan, Abdul Hassan Saeed, like this, all these people were part of this big movement, big meeting to thank Nizam. And 1933, they thanked Nizam for bringing such wonderful protection for the Mulkis. But this is a success, that is why they were in some high moods. So in this background, after 2 years, you see a new organization named Nizam Subjects League was formed. What is this Nizam Subjects League? Subjects means people. Nizam Subjects League is also known as Jamia Rifayam-e-Nizam, Jamia Rifayam-e-Nizam, or Nizam's People Association in plain words. it has given a major slogan, that is Hyderabad for Hyderabadis. Remember, this question was asked in one of the TSPSC examinations. Hyderabad for Hyderabadis was the slogan given by whom? That is Nizam Subjects League. And this league elected a body, and Nawab 𝗳𝗧𝗪𝗔𝗃 was the president, Burgula Ramakrishna Rao was the secretary. So a new organization, now you can see Nizam Subjects League, this is 1935. But by 1931, you have another association also, that is known as Andhra Mahasabha, Nizam Rashtra Andhra Mahasabha. They were also demanding some of the demands which all the other people are doing. So, Nizam Subjects League, prior to this is Nizam Rashtra Andhra Mahasabha. Why these organizations are coming into existence which never came in 1800 or 1700? Because people understanding that we have the right to what? We have the right to property, we have the right to live, we have the right to economy, our livelihood. All these things are the concept they are understanding. That is why when the new concept under the last phase of your capitalism is bringing in the nation, the human rights and all these things, and Burgula Ramakrishna Rao, Nawab 𝗳𝗧𝗪𝗔𝗃 were the presidents, and that is the Subjects League. Other people like Kashinath Vaidya, Madapati Hanumantrao, Mandumla Narsingarao, Latif Saeed, Ramchandra Naik, all these people were the members of this league. And Nizam Subjects League aimed obedience to Nizam, fight for Mulki rights, obedient to Nizam, because if you are obedient to Nizam, you will get some benefits. Fight for Mulki rights, this is the essence of your meeting. So, fight for Mulki rights, obedience to Nizam goes together, so that you can bargain some of the rights to the people. Then, contribute to the culture and traditions, unity of communities, upliftment of downtrodden, all these things were there in Andhra Mahasabha also. But this is different from Nizam Andhra Mahasabha, Nizam Rashtra Andhra Mahasabha, because Nizam Rashtra Andhra Mahasabha is for Telugus and Nizam Subjects League is just not for Telugu. This is for the subjects of Nizam state, means people of Nizam state. So, this Nizam Subjects League appealed for a responsible government, and before this appeal also, when they approached Nizam for all these demands, Nizam has appointed a committee known as Aravamudhu Iyengar Committee. Aravamudhu Iyengar, a Tamilian. Aravamudhu Iyengar Committee framed Mulki rules, and these Mulki rules were under implementation. But the word responsible government was not liked by Nizam. That is why this appeal of responsible government could not find a huge response at this point of time. At the same time, the league was dissolved in 1939 because the Muslims who were into this organization were moving to Majlis-e-Ittihadul Muslimin. So 1930s, they are gradually shifting to that. And you have Andhra Mahasabha for Telugus. So, league lost its importance. Though it is a small purpose, it could affect for some time. Then, Nizam Subjects League has many important people who are talking about the rights. And we see a change in the entire process. What are the major aspects of this period? How do you sum up the Mulki issue? Summing of Mulki issue is very important, because what questions you may get in your examination is, how does the Mulki rules issue has affected the polity of Hyderabad state, the effect of Mulki rules on Hyderabad state, effect of Mulki issue on Hyderabad state in terms of polity. This is the question. So, you have to write the entire 1857 Asafzai period to this time Osman Ali Khan period. So, when we talk about these changes, reforms bringing into change from Salarjung period and finally Osman Ali Khan period, you have lot of change going on. Major aspects of this Mulki issue are, though Nizam 6 and 7, that is Mahbub Ali Khan and Usman Ali Khan, issued farmans. The implementation was not there at a desired level. Desired level means what? It was not effectively implemented. That is one thing. As a result, you can see, because your desire is to have a big, good established state with a perfect employees, with very efficient employees, but you cannot get unless and until you train them or orient them. For thus, there is a window period, a gap. But till this period, many non-Mulkis occupied this place. That is where non-Mulki issue has started. So, this is the first point. Though Nizam 6th and 7th issued farmans, implementation was not at the desired level. And next, raising the issue of Mulki rights is very, very interesting aspect. That is, this is the first step in the feudal country in terms of a democratic aspiration. What do you mean by democratic aspiration? Under the feudal countries, under feudal rules, you don't have anything like we have a right. People never say that we have a right, we can choose you. They can't say a ruler or a king can be chosen by the people. But in a democratic setup, when the modernity is creeping in, sweeping in Hyderabad state, other parts of the subcontinent, that is British India, is bringing in some changes. So Hyderabad is also will not leave aloof. So automatically the changes happening is entering into Hyderabad state, and democratic consciousness of rights of Mulkis for employment is beginning. This is an important question for next round of development. Means once you understand that we have a right, you will fight. If you don't have a right, you will not fight. Your consciousness will not be there that this is mine, then you will not fight. So Mulki issue has brought a very, very important question, that is democratic aspiration of the natives for employment. Again, come to our modern phase, last phase of our Telangana movement. What we are talking, the same thing. We are talking about the rights of the locals, that is Mulkis, in employment. So Mulki issue has a great role in the entire issue of employment, resources, development and consolidation of Hyderabad state. In your examination, as I said, I repeat, you may get a question, a descriptive question, long question, need not be too long, need not be too short. Like in UPSC, you have mixed questions, different number of marks. So the question can be asked, explain the importance of Mulki rule in shaping up the polity of Hyderabad state. I repeat, explain the importance of Mulki issue in shaping up of the polity of Hyderabad state. So in the next class, we will be taking up a fresh topic after this Mulki. What are the changes happening in Hyderabad state?